Let's see, the other thing I wanted to show is hair. So hair for me is probably the one facet of artwork that if I'm drawing a character, let's see, let's get the camera focus back on here. If I'm drawing a character, let's just draw a head here. Get a basic head growing on here. And I'm just going to make this up here. So face, eyes, comes down to here. Here's hair, there's a head, up. Damn, I'm not even sure what this is or who this is, just a generic face. I'll try to make it as nice as I can, because this is for the interwebs. Should look nice, yeah. And that really is just a demo, but I'll do my best. I'm penciling here a little bit, so we're going to figure out what kind of hair we want to give this character, which I think is going to be female, just because I can really get into drawing the hair. Let's see, maybe there's wind blowing from her left side, and the hair is just doing this kind of thing. By the way, when you're drawing hair, it helps to think of hair as being a solid kind of mass unto itself. I know hair is composed of strands, of many strands, you know, in the case of very long hair. But even then, there's different textures. There's thick hair, there's finer hair, right, amongst people. So maybe I'm doing something like that with the hair. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine this drawing just a little bit more. So I'm going to switch to a finer tip pencil. Okay, so I've got a finer tip pencil, and I'm going to go ahead and just pencil out the face just a little bit more. And this is probably good I'm doing this because I can show some of the other pens that I use, and it's mostly to do with the pen point sizes, of course. But we'll go ahead and just get this on up here. The character has somewhat of a worried look on her face. I'm totally just sketching up this face here. Again, this is no particular character. Just trying to get some ink. Probably should have printed out a couple of pre-penciled drawings or images of mine and have them printed out ready. But that's okay. Maybe I'll just I'll zoom through this. And this face is a little bit more animated than I normally draw, but I think it'll be okay. Okay. Chin looks a little big. Let's just get this a little more dialed in here. And if you're wondering, this is an HB pencil that I'm using. Very common that I use an HB when I'm drawing. I also have these clutch pencils, and I think it's also an HB. But I like using the old school pencils, I guess, original pencils, you know, lead with a barrel. I think this is called the barrel, the wood, you know. And I like to put an eraser on it just like that. I find that the tip eventually wearing down with these types of pencils are just they just are perfect for me. They just suit my demeanor when I'm drawing, I think, and I like that feeling of it eventually, you know, running down, getting duller to a certain extent. It's always good to make sure you have your pencil sharpener handy, which I do. I have an electric one behind my drawing board here. Alright, so let's see, we're doing some penciling here, some hair. I will admit I do reference drawing hair for the sake of this demo. I think I'm totally winging this here. Alright, so we'll do something like that. It's really undefined what she's wearing, but I kind of just want to get into drawing the face and using different brush pens. Now that I look at this, her lips look a little too high, and guess what? Because this is actual art on paper, we cannot just simply go undo or grab it and cut it and move it twice, tweak it. We got to actually got to redraw this. So I'm just moving it down, moving her lips slightly down. Okay, I think that looks a little better. Maybe this upraised eyebrow, I'm going to switch that to something a little bit more, maybe something like that. Now she's looking like she knows something that we don't know. That kind of look. Okay. Okay, so now as we get to penciling or inking the character, I've switched to this very dull tip pencil, and again an HB. But what I want to do, and I think I've had to decide here, should I make this a character with light hair or dark hair? I think I'm going to make her with dark hair. The nice thing about inking dark hair is that you can really just ink a lot of black, put down some solid blacks down. Solid black areas for the hair, it should be fine. I'm gonna have part of the hair, part of the ear getting tucked under the hair here. One thing I have to determine is like, where do I want certain highlights to appear? So I'm determining right now that I want to kind of put all of this in shadow. So I'm just going to shadow that in. Same thing with here. This is all dark. I guess I should say flat black is more what I'm thinking about doing. And I'm using this pencil to help block in where I want these darker areas to go first, or primarily. Now there's a part here, kind of like the top of the part of the hair, that I kind of want to highlight, kind of coming out on its own right here, or kind of being blown out, or kind of flying out like that. And again, I'm going to say that there's definitely wind coming and blowing from this side, but there's also the light is coming from that side here. So I'm going to put some shadow next to this nose here. So then what we want to do is take into account, like, this part of the hair is going to be highlighted. So I'm going to have this in dark, this part of the hair behind here in dark. But then I also want to indicate that there's light hitting on this side of the hair. So I'll probably make all this dark as well to help frame the face, side of the face. Again, this will also come here to be dark, but then I'll also lighten up this part right here. Kind of like I'm creating like a little, kind of like a zone, these zones of where I want the light, where I want light to kind of fall on top of the hair and have it contrasted with darker areas. And then of course, as the hair gets toward the edges of the mask, it'll lighten up some. Let's see, dark here, all dark here. And a lot of this stuff, when I'm penciling, I really get very loose. I keep it very loose. I try to, as much as possible, indicate where I want the shadows to mostly live and to be, and then kind of like where I want highlights to occur. Like this kind of like squiggle area right here, I'm telling myself, leave a highlight there. And then maybe, let's see, kind of like this entire area right here, I'm gonna leave it open as well for light. And again, I'm inking my own stuff. I'm gonna ink my own pencils. So I'm kind of also leaving it open to spontaneity as I continue to work on this piece here with my pencils. And then when I go to ink it, a lot of things are just going to happen as I ink on the fly with this artwork. So, you know, with that being said, let's go ahead and get some inks down. So the first thing I'll do is I will take again the brush pen here, and what I like to do is I like to really indicate the side of the face here, and that's important because what that's going to do is it's going to right away set kind of like, it'll set the stage for how much shadow I need to, how much, you know, how far the shadow is going to get close to the edge of the face here. And that line that I draw that I put down here, fix this right here, ultimately is going to be, there's going to be solid black going up to that, or maybe you might see a little bit of shading there. Let's get the chin kind of drawn in, the neck here, and then we determine that we're going to have some hair kind of going like that. These types of pens here, whether it's a traditional brush or a brush pen like this, is great for drawing hair. That's my take. I love drawing hair when it comes to, especially when it comes to using brushes. I think they're particularly useful for that. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go to town here and get some inking done. So I'm going to leave the edge of this right here relatively light, and then I'm going to come in with some darkness here, or with some shadow. Where it clumps, it'll be dark, and then where it kind of tails here, that'll kind of get wispy right there. And then for here, as this is blowing over the hair, I'm going to start kind of heavy here. And let's see, I'm going to have some light area right in here. This area right here, I really want that to kind of just stay open as much as I can, because that's where I want light to be hitting, or to indicate that light is hitting there. This right here is going to be a major piece for me, so I hope I don't screw it up. We're recording here. This is totally unrehearsed. So you can see I'm drawing, I'm inking this. This is really me inking this, you know, as I film this here. So let's see. All right. I can only do this in one take. There we go. All right. All right. So what I should probably do at this point is indicate all this area here that gets shaded, that's just in darkness, is going to help again frame the side of her face. And we'll just get all of this in black. You know, I'm not going to lie, this pen is so nice. I don't miss having to dip the pen into, you know, into the inkwell. Obviously, if I was using like the Winsor Newton brush, which is a fantastic brush, don't get me wrong, I would be using that inkwell and need to have water and all that stuff and a rag. But this is so convenient, this pen right here, brush pen. Okay. All right, so let's see. Now that I've got that shaded in, what I'm going to do is go ahead to proceed. I want to try and create kind of like a layered effect here. So it's just important that, you know, as you experiment with these brushes, you just kind of learn how you can go from a point to the side, back to the point, to create these thin strokes that trail off as you ink, to create these different effects in the hair. And I'd be lying if I would tell you that I have this down, I understand it entirely, but I don't. I think sometimes I'm always constantly learning and refining what I know, and trying to, you know, learn from other artists that I see online when they ink, watch some inking videos on YouTube, just to kind of get an understanding and a feel for how they approach inking. And, you know, I'm yet just another one, and I like doing my own independent comics, so that's just, you know, if you stumbled upon this, that's what I do. I'm an independent artist right now, so this is just my take and my approach. I guess love it or leave it. Okay, so let's see, you've got some stuff going on with her hair. But I want to kind of keep all this in shadow, or keep it just solid black. That I think really emphasizes this hair right here. That. I want to shorten that up right there a bit. There we go. Some stray pencil marks there. And then for this part, I think what I'm going to do, I should probably get to this, I should probably resolve this area of what's going up here. So we've got kind of like the front of her hair here. And at some point, I think I need to kind of get this part tied in right here. So let's just do something like this. It's almost kind of almost like a dry brush that I'm getting in there. Again, with the edge of these pens, you kind of have to figure out what the tolerances are between what the pen can do and what you're capable of doing with your own touch as you pull the brush and you drag it over the page. And that's just going to take experimentation on your part when you're inking to kind of figure out what that feels like and what your results would be in this case, in that case. So let's just go ahead and put down some nice dark areas here. And I'm just going to fill all this in, just darken it, because again, it's dark hair, right? Black hair. Stroke that in there. I may want to have like maybe a strand or two right here, just kind of coming off like that. And then we'll make sure we have some of these, some couple more strands, just to close, just to kind of complete that part of the hair there. Okay, now this, let's see, where do I want to go with this next? I'm still going to keep this super dark. Again, there's part of the ear. Let's give that part. And again, part of it's tucked under her head. Going to make this, a lot of this area in here dark. This turn right here that we're going to see, I'm going to indicate that there's a little bit of some light hitting here, just to show contrast with that edge, with this overlap of the hair. And we'll just kind of maybe kind of obscure it there with some little bit of dragging to create a slight dry brush effect. And then this part of the hair, I'm just going to go all dark with that. And then what I want to do here is, because this is kind of looser strands of hair, maybe just kind of let it just kind of hang out. Let some light area breathe into this darkness there. And then for this part here, let's see, I kind of want to create an effect here of some kind of overlapping. So I'm going to let this go in like this, like that. And then what I want to show here is kind of like the part. So let me get this part inked in here first, kind of like again, showing that highlight area right here. So what I'm going to do here is create a little bit of kind of like this kind of, I'm not sure what these are. I mean, it's kind of like I guess it's a slight feathering. I don't want to show too much feathering, but I want to, again, try to show a transition, I think. And then this part right here where the light is hitting the hair, I'm really just going to kind of leave it kind of like strands of hair, like loose pieces here. Just kind of bending over, or not bending over, but like kind of curving. And then this part here, we're going to go up, put a stroke just like that. Maybe I want to take, let's see, take this part here, overlap there, and create this. And again, the edges are going to be of the hair. I'm just going to have them super light, just like that. And again, I could probably put more, like another piece here, another clump of hair. Sounds weird, but yeah, it's really what it is. Kind of trying to think of it as having mass. It's a hair having some weight to it. And this area right here is I should probably leave it just the way it is. In fact, that's what I'll do. I'll leave it just the way it is for now. This part here, I'm just going to really, I'll keep the line super thick, but I'll leave the area pretty open for light. And then there's a little bit of a turn here, so maybe it gets slightly darker as it's turning away from the light. Again, this is supposed to be dark hair, so like in terms of comic book coloring, if this is a brunette, you know, black hair, there'd probably be some kind of grayish blue that's filling in the light areas. It's the standard color for dark hair is blue. Black hair, so I'm gonna leave that open just like that, I think. And what are we doing here? Let's see. All right, and then so then we just got this kind of like this hair right here that's kind of blowing out right there. So we're going to take this brush and just continue kind of with that same type of effect and feeling. Blow out, and then I'm going to shade that in right there a little bit, kind of almost like dry brush. And then we're just going to fill all this in with black. Again, this is a really, really cool pen to use, brush pen. And then, let's see, I might do a little more with this part here, just slightly more, just kind of show some of the hair there. Maybe some loose strands right here that are going over the ear. And then, let's see, I kind of want to put like a really nice solid like bump just like that. And this part here, right here, this is a really tricky part right here. I could leave it open. I could try to put something in there, like just a slight little, like a little, let's try it, like a little thing like that. Just to kind of fill it in a little bit. I kind of want to do something here as well, but I think the best thing to do is to follow a similar path, which is to just create maybe just one more like line that's overreaching here, like I'm going right there, just like that. I think that looks good right there. And then as I look at this here, there's this curve which the light hits, and I kind of want to make it a little bit darker here as it pulls and goes down, just like that. Kind of like this, the light is up here, it darkens, and then the light is again, because like there's the bump there, right? And right here, let's put a couple of little marks there, just to kind of curve it back in toward the hairline right here. The part, I should say. That's where the hair is parting, okay? All right, cool, so we're on our way. Let's just draw some more hair here. Let's like this here, another overlap here, another, she's got some really long hair, doesn't she? And then this area here, let's just kind of draw this in. And then we've got, I think what I'm going to do here is just kind of really just play with it and get kind of loose and crazy and spontaneous with all that. Which is always kind of fun to do, right? It's kind of like these areas right here, they kind of allow me to kind of play with a little bit of spontaneous, because it is hair blowing in the wind, and it can get a little bit more strandy here. Strandy? More strands, just kind of like this right here, taking some artistic license. So anyway, this is just, I think it's a good exercise in seeing what this brush pen is capable of. Especially again, in my case, like for rendering hair, and it's going to kind of work on the characters. Didn't really draw, we don't really know what she's wearing, who she is. We're just kind of focusing on the hair, and how this brush pen is pretty cool to use for this kind of stuff. And right here is a point where I haven't, in the hair, in the drawing, where I haven't really defined much of what's going on, and this is a stage for kind of experimenting and getting a little bit more on the fly kind of thing, drawing the hair. I did indicate that I wanted some light to be here, so I think when I draw hair, unless I'm using reference, which I do from time to time, I try not to, but sometimes it's so much more easier just to reference a good drawing of hair, depending on what the image is in the comic that I'm drawing. Depending on if it makes sense to have some super detailed hair, rendered that way. And but sometimes I don't use reference. In this case, I'm just kind of showing you how I sometimes go about using this pen for rendering hair. And I think for right now, this is just a good way to show you how much I really like this pen and how convenient it is. I don't have to dip it into a bottle of ink or into an inkwell of some sort, right? And of course, the cleanup and wash up of a brush, of a traditional brush, and all the tools associated with it, you know, so nice. And I'm noticing this is getting a lot more abstract as I get down into these parts here, which is fine. I think I am turning a new page in my artistic, the way I approach making art. I'm trying to take certain parts because I very much enjoy drawing with a certain amount of realism and representational type artwork that is true to the form, the human figure in particular. But then I'm trying to also incorporate aspects into my art that is a lot more, not abstract, but a little more artistic for the sake of drawing it that way. Because a lot of times I think what happens is I can get too married to photo reference, to what I see, instead of using it as a reference to create something that didn't exist but yet is clearly, you know, was inspired by something in the real world. So there's our drawing here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the figure here using this pen, and I'll show you what you know, you'll get to see right here as I begin to ink the different pens that I could also use. In fact, what I'll do is I'll switch from using this, and let's go back to that pen I had at the top of the beginning of the video, which is this. Oops, I bumped the camera. As I was starting the video off, I'm trying to find that pen. Here it is. This is that Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pen, and you know, I can then transition maybe into doing this type of work, which is line work, which definitely feels different, right? Because again, it's a different tip, and I can do things with this tip that that's harder to pull off with a brush. And see, now we're getting a lot more interpretive. I'm getting more artistic. I'm getting just a little more, I don't know, I guess I'm really just putting my own take on what hair is here, which is kind of fun actually to do. So let's just go ahead and get the face inked in, because I've done all this work. I might as well finish the face, and then I can show you like also the different pens that I use. So I blocked in that heavy area here with the brush, but then, you know, sometimes, you know, it is easier to do these aspects of the face with a regular pen. I could totally ink this with a brush, with the brush pen, not a problem. But again, there are times when it's just so much more convenient to do it with a pen. I'm not gonna lie, NGL, not gonna lie. Okay, remember to breathe. We'll draw the eye. Going silent as I ink here. And let's see, we'll draw a little bit of the ear. That ear looks like it's really low. And I can't really fix it now. We'll fix it in the next drawing, right? We'll make sure I won't do that again. Or, you know what, I can bump it up just like this. She just went from having a lobe to like an attached earlobe, which coincidentally I have attached earlobes. Okay. The nose, we'll just You know, for the longest time when I started drawing comics as like a 14-year-old, noses were hard. And I remember getting the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and there was a section on the nose. It wasn't a very big section. It was that book was by John Romita. Oh, no, sorry, John Buscema. Excuse me, John Buscema. And if I recall, that section was just like, there are no shortcuts to draw the nose. You just gotta draw it, and you know, you can use reference. Although I don't think they mentioned the word reference at all, but this said it takes a lot of practice to do, you know, a really good nose. And they weren't lying. They weren't lying at all. You just gotta get to the point where you can draw it, and you could, you know, you probably will. Like, I still kind of have trouble with the nose. Well, not as much as I did when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And I'm not saying my noses are perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely noses take work to get good at, I think. So now for the eyebrows, I'm going to switch to a pretty fine point brush, pen tip here. So this is an XS sized brush or pen, and extra small. So with the extra small pen tips, if I'm drawing a panel that has, you know, tiny figures in it, then it makes sense to use this. But also the smaller tip is really good for drawing lightly, and you can almost get a sketch type roughness to it, feeling to it all, by using this smaller tip pen, right? And it really allows you to utilize super fine mark making in your artwork, which is, depending again on what you're drawing, is super advantageous. So a trick I like to do here for eyebrows is I like to use thicker toward the brow area, center of the face, or the head, and then as I get into these areas out here, I tail off and I leave the area open. I'm going to try and zoom in on that. I'll take a picture of this, or a scan maybe, and you'll see that this is dark, but then I leave space in these strokes here, because then it creates a blended effect within the character here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of shading here. The chin area, just kind of add something, and then you can add stuff like this to create like rim lighting, you know, which is kind of cool to do with these fine point tims. Man, I can't talk at all. Fine tip pens. Okay, it's really good for doing these types of simple, clean little sparsely made marks here to show a little bit of rim lighting. Okay, maybe we do a little bit here too, just like that. Again, shows you what's possible, right, using these different tip pens here. And let's see, I think her lashes can be just a little heavier here, a little thicker, a little more pronounced. Not by much, but then, yeah. So this is kind of like how I use my pens, alternating between this brush pen and several of these artist Pitt pens. This is kind of my inking approach when I'm working traditional inks on paper, and this is, I've been doing a lot of digital artwork since I first started my comic book series, The Realm Ethereal, and I've been doing a lot of digital work, but then it's only really been, I think, in the last couple, maybe last 3 or 4 months, that I've kind of been going back and forth, and I'm leaning heavily toward going back to doing a lot of traditional work. Again, I talked about it in the last video, or maybe it was a Tech Talk video, about my eyes getting and feeling weaker because I think I'm constantly working on the computer all day long, and so I think this is a good break from that. And I think I only see one thing I want to fix here, and I think it's actually this area right here. It's going to create another layer of not texture for the hair, but like kind of like one layer on top of the other, right? So let's just add one more little sweep here. It's like that. And I could also use a little bit of some of the whiteout ink to maybe, if I wanted to, come back and put like some spare or some other strands of hair here, which is a cool effect. You know, could definitely do that, and it would definitely add to the piece. But for right now, I think you pretty much have the idea, or you get the idea of how I ink my traditional ink drawing on my comics on paper. There's another thing here that's just gotta add this thickness right there. There we go. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you like what you see here, just, you know, if you give it a like, that's awesome. If you want to leave a comment, that'd be great. If you want to subscribe, that's awesome. But for sure, definitely go check out my website, my Realm Ethereal comic book. That's free to read on my website at reneeariola.com. And yeah, I will catch you in another video. Again, thanks for watching.